everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the Adrian Show if you are new. So in today's video, I'm basically going to show you guys how I made this wig, this custom unit from start to finish. All of the products that I used are going to be listed below in the description box. So in this video, you're going to see the products that I used to bleach the hair, the products that I used to tone the hair, the products that I used to make the hair go from black to this color, as well as how I was able to bleach the closure and have it be gradient. Now I'm going to give you guys a few details on the hair, but before I do that, please just keep in mind I am not selling custom units. I am selling custom wigs. I started out my Instagram page for my business as Adri Wigs, but I feel like that didn't have a twist to it. I didn't really like it. So you can now follow me on Instagram at Unique Units, and that's units with a Z, not an S. So it's UNIQUE, UNITZ, or you can Gmail me for any inquiries in terms of which wigs you would like, or if you have a look that you're trying to go for and you want to see if I can create it, you can email me at uniqueunits with a Z at gmail.com as well. I'll list all that information in the description box below. And just a few specs about the hair before I go ahead and show you guys the video. This hair is actually from Cexxy Hair Company on AliExpress, and that's Cexxy with a C. So this hair is actually some Peruvian straight hair, and right now I have in 3 bundles in a lace closure. The lace closure is actually 14 inch, and then the bundles start off at 16, 18, 20. You guys are going to see in the video that I did kind of layer the hair a little bit more to just give it a really elongated look. You guys, honestly, I love the way that this hair kept up with the bleach. It's still soft and flowy right now. It's not trashy, which I love because it did take a lot of bleach to get the hair to look this color. I mean, I used 40 volume developer. I left it on at 45 minutes and for 2 different times. Thumbs up for me from this hair. I'm gonna go ahead and list the company specs below in the description box, and you guys can see how great this hair held up through the whole entire process. I'm gonna finish talking now. Don't forget to follow me at Unique Units, and that's units with a Z, on Instagram, and for inquiries and to see pictures of wigs that I've created so far, just so you can get a ballpark idea of the work that I do. And you can also email me at uniqueunits at gmail.com if you're interested in getting a custom unit made just for you. Now without further ado, I'm going to show you guys the video and show you how I got this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful look. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoy the process. So the first step is bleaching and tinting the closure, and first and foremost I have something to cover my nose and my mouth so that the chemicals, which is the bleach, cannot get too deep into my airways. I do recommend you guys use one of those, and of course some gloves. So as you guys are aware, I will be using Cexxy hair extensions, and this is their lace closure that I am about to bleach and tint. So the first thing that I do is I open up my BW2 powder, and I'm going to mix that in a small mixing bowl with my whisk and some 40 volume developer. 40, I'm sorry. Now some people will use 20 volume developer, but I really wanted to bleach the hell out of this closure and bleach the hell out of the knots so that when I was ready to tint it, it got to the desired color that I want it to be. If you use a 20 volume developer, it is going to take a little bit longer for the knots to be bleached. For me, I used a 40 volume just because I wanted to make sure every single knot on this closure was bleached so that it can be the most natural looking closure I have ever customized. Now, as far as the consistency of this mixture is concerned, I know a lot of people do it differently. For me, I like to get the consistency to at least a toothpaste thickness. The reason why I don't do it too thick is because I find that when I'm trying to bleach the knots on my closure and I make the mixture too thick, when I'm trying to place it evenly on the closure and I'm moving the bleach around, it'll start to crumble. It'll crumble in pieces, it'll break apart, certain knots won't be bleached. And as I stated, you guys, I really want this closure, all the knots to be bleached on it. So I get it to a toothpaste consistency where it's creamy, but not too creamy like whipped cream. So sometimes the closure can be bunched together. I just use my hand to kind of stretch it out so that it's elongated. And I take the dye brush, I dip it into the mixture, and I'm using a very light hand, as light as possible, because I don't want to press down too hard and have all of the top strands of the hair bleached. Now, it doesn't matter, even if it does get bleached, you can fix this, but you're trying to minimize the amount of work that you have to do as much as possible. So I'm going to leave that saturated for a total of 15 minutes. I'm just going to set the timer and wait for the timer to end, and then we can go ahead and wash this bad boy off with some Shimmer Lights shampoo and conditioner. So I'll be using the shampoo and conditioner to tone down the brassiness of the bleached knots. The first thing that I do before I actually put the products on it is I just rinse it off in a downward motion so that all of the bleach product can actually just come off of the closure. And I use some cold water to do that. And then I'm just going to wash it out with my Shimmer Lights shampoo, followed by the conditioner. As you guys can see, this closure is literally bleached to perfection. All of the knots are bleached. I don't really see any black dots, and I just love how it came out so far, but we're nowhere near done with this closure. Next, I'm going to be tinting the closure. I just feel like with it bleached, although the knots are not black dots anymore, it still doesn't look natural. It's way too orange, way too light for my skin tone. So I'm going to be using this Clear All semi-permanent dye in the color, I think it's honey brown or dark brown. I'll list it below in the description box. And I've seen a lot of different methods of people tinting their closures online with tea bags, but I just don't feel comfortable with putting like tea on top of my head. This is a method that I saw Peak Mill try, and ever since I tried it with different products, it's actually worked pretty well. So I'm gonna pour approximately, well, you guys will see how much. I'll show you how much dye I pour into the bottle, into the the what do you call this thing, container. And I actually had some hot boiling water on the oven in the kettle, and I'm just gonna pour about 10 times the amount of dye in reference to water. So the ratio will be 10 to 1. After I set the closure into the water, I'm gonna let it sit in there for about 12 minutes. I know it's such a weird number, but about 12 minutes I'm gonna let the closure actually tint in the water. So after those 12 minutes have passed, I'm going to be using my Tresemme shampoo and my Tresemme Expert conditioner, which is the best conditioner ever. It leaves everything feeling so soft. And I'm just going to wash out the tinted closure. So on top we have what the closure looked like before, very orange, very brassy, and then on the right you guys can see how it's so clear. Oh my god, yes girl, yes queen, slay me. And up against my skin, this is what the tinted closure looks. It just it just blends in perfectly. So natural, you guys, so natural. So next is the actual bleaching process of the hair. So I pretty much have 2 garbage bags laid out flat. I have the rest of the BW2 developer left over from what I used when I first opened it to bleach the closure, and I'm just going to pour the 40 volume developer from Salon Care in there as well. Now I got both of these things from Sally's, and I'm going to use my whisk to just mix everything in. Honestly, you guys, the whisk makes it so much easier to mix it in because I used to use my dye brush and it was just tragic. So I laid the 2 garbage bags out flat. I mixed the developer and the bleach, and the consistency from this is a lot creamier than the actual consistency of when you're bleaching the closure. So you want this to actually seep through. You don't want it to be too liquidy where it's runny, but you want it to be very creamy. And I'm just going to lay the hair flat on the garbage bags. Now, the way that I like to do it is I go section by section, but you do have to work very fast because the bleach will literally start to lift. Some hair lifts as soon as you put the actual bleach on. So I first start off by laying the hair double filed, so it's just wrapped once. It's not like a single track by track because that would take forever. And I just start applying and combing through, applying and combing through. Now you want to make sure the bleach is saturating the hair as evenly as possible. You don't want to miss any strands. That's why I start out so flat. And also I comb through as I go. So after I apply the bleach, I'll comb through it. Then I'll apply some more bleach on top of what I just did. Then I flip it. Then I double the wefts, then I triple the wefts, then I quadruple the wefts, then I go over everything that I just did one more time. You really want to be very thorough. It's not something that you want to rush through. You do want to move fast, but you don't want to rush through it and miss any spots, because I promise it will look horrendous and you'll have black strands running through your hair like no tomorrow. And it won't be cute, sis. After I feel I've saturated enough, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it in some foil paper and place it in a lukewarm, is it that the right word, or room temperature position, and I'm just gonna leave it on for 45 minutes and repeat the process with the other two bundles. I had to repeat this entire process 2.5 times just to get it to the desired color that I wanted it to get to. So depending on the color that you want, you might have to lift it more than once, but I do recommend that you test a strand of the hair, or cut a weft and test just that weft, that track, because you don't want to damage your hair, especially if it's not capable of withstanding the bleach. So I let the hair sit in the bleach for about 45 to 50 minutes the first 2 times, and then the half time, which was the last time, I let it sit for about a half an hour, I would say. Now I'm going to bleach the closure. I always bleach the closures at the end because it has the least amount of hair, so it'll take less time to lift than the actual other bundles, and I don't want the closure to be looking completely different than the rest. So while those are bleaching, I make my way to go ahead and bleach the closure. So I actually have the closure pinned down to my mannequin head, and I have some foil paper which I'm basically placing underneath and pinning that down as well, and then I'm just going to bleach. I'm using this method because I don't want to just lay the closure flat. I already parted it the way that I want it to be parted on when it's actually on the wig, and that's the way that I want this hair to be bleached. So I'm going to section it off, place the foil paper over it, and then I'm just going to start. I can show you guys way better than I can tell you. So when you're bleaching the top section, which is where my part is going to show, you want to make sure that when you get to the very top, so you can have a gradient look instead of it just switching from one color to the other, that you turn your brush sideways and you brush it lightly to create the effect of a highlight instead of just one color and then a next color. It'll look horrible if you leave it that way. So next it's time to actually tone the hair, and I'm using T28 and T11 from Wella's Color Charm. I've already washed the hair out with my Shimmer Light shampoo and conditioner, and it's at the desired color that I want it. So basically the mixture for this is very simple. You take out the bottle, you pour it into a mixing bowl, and you're gonna take your 20 volume developer. I'm using Wella's 20 volume developer, and I'm just gonna pour that into the empty bottle 2 times. So 2 times the amount of developer as 1 mixture of toner. And then I'm just going to mix those 2 together. The T11, which is the lightest beige blonde, I used more of that for the closure because I wanted the closure to be a tad bit lighter than the rest of the bundles. And the natural blonde, which is a T28, I used a majority of that on the bundles of hair. So after you've whisked together your mixture, you're basically just going to saturate, literally drench the bundles in the toner. Depending on how much you want is how long you leave it on there for. I left it on there for me for about 20 to 25 minutes. If you don't see it getting purple, the mixture, that means that you did something wrong and you have to go back in again. So after I've repeated the process and I've washed it out and blow dry the hair, I already made my wig. Now, I already have a video on my channel on how I make my wigs where I go in depth, so you guys could just go ahead and check that out. Now it's just time to style the wig, and I'm just going to be using some heat protectant from olive oil and my flat iron, and I'm going to straighten this wig down. So after I'm done flat ironing, I'm just going to take this razor comb and create some layers in the very front of the hair by shaving it down a little bit so that I can have some layers with the closure and the rest of the bundles. And then after we do that, I'm going to go ahead and cut off the excess cap from underneath the closure. And I'm pretty much just going to prep this hair overnight by tying it down on the styrofoam head so that it can lay flat.